Fighting on the front lines in Call of Dragons can be a lot of fun and very valuable to your team. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about hero pairings when it comes to the infantry unit. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Phoenix, and today we are going to be looking at hero pairings when it comes to the infantry unit in Call of Dragons. The infantry unit is a vital piece when it comes to war and tanking behemoths. But are you utilizing it the way that is most effective when it comes to both of them? So today we're going to look at different pairings that will work well when it comes to infantry and how they may work when it comes to war compared to behemoths and maybe your different play style. So the first main things I want to talk about is the primary commanders that you may use when it comes to infantry units. So the very first one we're going to look at is Madeline. Madeline is probably the best infantry unit in my opinion. It pairs well with a lot of other ones, and she has just amazing skills. And we can talk a little bit about those. The first one is that she's going to gain physical attack and grant a shield with 1200 factor. That's really nice. 20% damage, but really that shield factor is great for survivability and being able to kind of sustain in battle. Her second one is Legion capacity up to 15,000 and physical damage dealt bonus, okay, in the field by 10%. So she's, again, doing more damage, but she's also able to bring more infantry, which is going to allow you to last a lot longer when you're on the battlefield. The third skill is going to increase the infantry unit HP bonus up to 15%, as well as the counterattack damage bonus up to 15%. So this is where I talk about different pairings. You can use different types of infantry heroes as the deputy to kind of work with her in different ways. And the last skill we have is when the shield is broken, she's going to do hero skill damage to 3 surrounding units up to a 300 damage factor. Now that's not amazing in my opinion. It's not bad, especially when you're surrounded. Being able to do extra damage is always useful, and it can help, but it's not going to do a ton of damage. You're not looking for that huge hero damage output. But every bit of damage definitely helps. And then her awaken, if you are able to awaken her, you're going to get that damage, but you're also going to get resistance, which for 4 seconds, you're going to take 10% less damage, which is amazing. If you can get Madeline up, getting a shield, reducing that damage, outputting more damage, you're going to be definitely in great shape. If you don't have Madeline and you are looking for other tank options as your primary commander, I think your next one would be Garwood. I think Garwood is a great tanky infantry unit. Now, if you're looking for great pairings and to be able to do a lot of damage, Garwood definitely would not be my first choice. But if you're looking for survivability, if you want to soak up damage, if you want to heal while you're on the battlefield, Garwood is an excellent, excellent choice, and you're going to be in a great place if you can use Garwood. Those would be my two main primary. You could use Nika, but I feel like Nika's not that great as a primary commander. So she does do quite a bit of damage. So she deals physical damage to an enemy of 1,500, but she also bruises them, which brings down their HP. So that's really, really nice as a skill, right? Because you're able to kind of really wound that enemy and allow people to kind of pile on, especially when you have others behind you. The next one is that she does more damage, up to 30% to darklings and dark creatures. All right, so this one doesn't matter as much, right? This is one we can kind of take away when we're in war or even when we're in behemoths, right? So, you know, it's not going to be great on the battlefield as a skill. Her next one is that all infantry units gain 10% physical attack and 4% march speed, and that can go all the way up to 20% attack and 10% march speed. So that's really nice. I mean, getting the march speed is always nice on infantry because, you can intercept and then you can slow them down. So catching them and putting them in their tracks, especially cavalry units, really that's going to be nice. And the 20% physical attack bonus, it's always nice to get some attack in there. So that's a really nice skill. And the last one is increases hero skill damage dealt by 4% and counter attack damage by 10. Remember I talked about counter attack damage when it came to Madeline? Well, Nika has the same counter attack bonus, so they pair well together. So while I wouldn't use Nika as a primary, I think that she is a great choice as a secondary, and we'll talk a little bit about that, who is the best deputies, as we go in. Some of your other options that you do have, you have Elena. I like Elena, but again, I don't necessarily like her as the primary commander. I think that she can work as a deputy, but I really don't think that she works great as a primary. I have not unlocked all of her skills. I don't really use her very often, but she can definitely help you when it comes to tanking and that survivability side. So if we look at her skills here, so a rage skill is going to give you a shield, but up to 500, and then you're going to get a 200 physical skill damage factor and a 200 magic skill damage factor. So, you're doing magic and you're doing physical, which is kind of interesting. It's a little bit, I don't know necessarily why they did both, but it's kind of interesting. Her second one is for damage to darklings and dark creatures. Again, not going to be great when it comes to being on that battlefield, so kind of, an unnecessary talent that you're just not going to use. And listen, most heroes have one that doesn't apply somewhere on the battlefield, including, Husk, which is your pay-to-win hero. Our next skill is going to be that your Legion's going to take up to 30% normal attack damage reduction. That's really nice. Again, that tanky survivability, especially if you're going up against marksmen that typically are going to be doing a lot more normal attack with their hero skill bonuses. So that's really nice. And the last one is when you're casting rage skills, you gain shelter, giving you that defense up to 30%. Again, that's really nice. So if you build this to do a lot of rage generation, that can help you. And there are builds that do focus on rage generation on Garwood and on Madeline, that you could do to potentially continuously get this defense bonus of 30%. And then the Divine Grace. So if you get the Divine Grace, you get a 70% chance to receive healing when attacked. So that's really, really nice. And that can be triggered once every 3 seconds. So that's really awesome, and definitely something you could pair with Garwood, to where you're constantly healing and constantly staying stronger. And personally, I really do like her as, like I said, that deputy role for her ability to kind of fortify your tank push. So now that we kind of talked a little bit about the different heroes and who should be a primary compared to a deputy, let's talk about each one of those primary and who I would pair with them. So Madeline is probably the most versatile. That's why I really think she is the best commander when it comes to legendary commanders in our infantry march. The first person I would pair her with is Nika. And Nika is a great pairing because of the counterattack synergy. So if we look at the talent tree, and I'm not going to go through in depth on it, I've been experimenting with some builds, but this is really an ideal Nika build so far, just with the counterattack damage. You're going to come up the normal tank tree and get to the special, which is going to give us defense and take less damage, but you do lose that march speed. But with an infantry, really you just want to survive. And then when you go in, you're going to gain some defense. You're going to take less hero skill damage. I did take the deal more attack damage. This is an interesting pick. I want to be able with Nika to do some more damage. You're not going to survive quite as long, but you're going to be able to pack a little bit of a punch. If you really want to go damage heavy, then you could pick to get the Keen, and you gain the 4% for 3 seconds and every 10 seconds, but I wanted to survive a little bit longer, so I went with cool-headed, and you gain shelter, which gives you the defense instead. On my main build that I've been using, I did go ahead and do the keen. I'm seeing what the kind of attack difference is, getting that keen, and it does proctor a lot, and you can do some extra damage. But if you really want to survive in those big wars, you're probably going to want to go with the cool-headed, gain that extra defense. I think it will help you in the long run. The next one I picked was to take 4% less normal attack damage. And again, this is kind of a choice on what you think. I wouldn't go with the extra damage to cavalry units. Why? It's nice, but there's a lot of time you're not attacking cavalry units. And it's just kind of a wasted skill there where you can always be taking less normal attack damage. And if you want to be more punchy, you could always reduce the march speed and take the attack increase. I didn't want to lose the 5% because I'm not speccing anywhere else to kind of counteract this. So I really would rather go ahead and take the more defensive route than kind of make me slower but do a little bit more attack. And then if you come up, you can see that I did last word, which is going to deal 4% more counterattack damage. And this is where I said that if you're going with Nika, you want to be spec'd into counterattack. You want to be dealing that damage back, right? And then you have flank protection, which is going to take 75% less bonus damage for being surrounded. That is huge, okay? If you are surrounded, and most infantry are, you're going to be taking a ton of damage. By negating that by 75%, that's going to be a lot of damage that you are negating, okay? If you are not in huge war and you're not going to be in the front line, or let's say you want to build this as maybe you're the off tank, okay, maybe you're not the main tank, so you don't need the survivability quite as much, you could always take the rage. I think this one is a great choice if that's what your plan is with Madeline, to be that kind of off tank, because generating that rage, getting that shield can keep you alive. But I really like the surrounded when it comes to PvP battles. And then the last one I want to take is that I have an 8% chance to launch an extra counterattack when hit with a normal attack. So it might not sound like a lot, but if you're getting shot at a ton, having that 8% chance, it's going to proctor pretty often. And you're going to see that counterattack damage go up pretty significantly just by the 8% chance. The other one you can take is to give you, an extra second on your rage skills, but I don't think the extra second of shield is going to counteract as much as damage I'm going to do with my counterattack. And then again, I'm going up into the PvP tree. You really could go either way. I'm personally going into a more Nika build with some damage, so I went ahead and did some damage, 2% here overall attack, and then I went ahead and I'm doing the 5% more normal attack damage. If you want to be a little bit quicker on the battlefield, I get it. March speed would be nice here because you can get up to 10%, which is really great. And defense isn't going to be the worst thing to pick, but I just feel like you're not getting enough defense to overlook the attack that you're getting here or the march speed that you would get. The next one I'm going to get is the rage. I think that getting the rage here is really nice, especially what you're giving up. I don't need that, this HP. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. I'm not looking to do hero skill damage, so I definitely think taking the extra rage is the way to go. Try to get those shields, try to proctor that. Want to make sure that you are staying as healthy as possible, and I think that high spirits is the way to do that. And then when you get to this, you have a choice. You can increase the damage dealt by 1% every 10 seconds to a maximum of 3, or you can take Luck of the Draw, and that when your Legion launches a counterattack in the field, they have a 10% chance to reduce all damage taken by 1%, up to 3%. So this one's kind of a choice. You're going to be doing a lot of counterattacking with this build, so picking Luck at the Draw would be really nice if you want to survive a little bit longer. If you want to get extra attack, okay, then every 10 seconds you're going to get 1% attack bonus. If you're in there for a long time, then getting that 3% is nice. Personally, I'm going to take the survivability a little bit and do the luck of the draw and get that 3% for 20 seconds and then let it start all over again. I think this is going to be at 3% for most of the battle. I think that you're really going to, it's going to be nice to have that. You know you're going to be doing a lot of counterattacks, and you're going to gain that damage reduction, which is really nice. So if you're doing a Nika build, that's definitely the way I would go. The other pairing you could use with Madeline as your primary is either Elena as your deputy or Garwood as your deputy. Those two are really nice. The reason I say that is Garwood's going to give you some healing, and Elena's going to give you some of that shield and a little bit of that healing as well. But definitely Garwood would be the first choice and Elena would be a second choice. But if you're going to go that route, you really want to go into the tank side, and you want to build up as much defense as you can. I would go get the rage skill as well. I think that's really nice here. You could potentially take less normal attack damage, but I think getting the rage and getting the ability to keep that shield going, especially if you come up the PvP tree and get it again, those will stack and you'll be able to get those shields out quite often, and I think that can really, really help you. The only thing I don't like about this tree compared to the infantry tree is you do miss out on that 75% surrounded, but there's some really nice things in here. So you can get shelter. I don't like shelter as much. I prefer to get the chance of gaining tough and getting the less hero skill damage. Reason being is this shelter is eventually going to wear off after 10 seconds. You're going to want to survive longer than 10 seconds. So if you're going to try to survive longer than 10 seconds, you know, this is going to go away, where this can proctor over and over again, and you can take less hero skill damage. The next things you want to get up to, you know, looking at our end, don't take the healing. It's a very small healing factor, okay? You want to take Hearts of Iron. Your Legion's going to take 8% less normal attack damage when you're below 50%. Yes, you know, once you get to 50%, you're already halfway through the battle before that happens, or maybe more, right? But it's then going to proctor. It's going to work with Madeline's skills that gives her higher defense, right? The infantry units automatically give you higher defense when you get under 50% HP, right? Because it starts going down as you lose troops, right? So it's going to make you survive a lot longer in that battle with Hearts of Iron. That's personally my choice. No matter if I'm doing Garwood or if I'm doing Elena, I would get the Hearts of Iron. You could even go into this tree, the infantry tree, and build it this way even with Garwood. You're just not going to survive quite as long. The other pairing you could use with Madeline is Thea, because Thea does give a shield factor as well, and does do 15% hero skill damage, but that's not really going to do a lot with Madeline. Like I said, she's not doing a ton of hero skill damage. The second one is to give an attack bonus, but the hero skill damage reduction is really nice, right? That survivability. You're going to last a long time. The third one is a defense bonus, an attack bonus, and a march speed bonus, okay? But you get the defense automatically, but you don't get the attack and march speed unless they're all flying, okay? So realistically, you're only going to get the defense, but that's really nice to get up to 20% defense with Madeline, and would still work very well. The last one is that you're going to gain a shield, or when you gain a shield, excuse me, they get an attack bonus, okay? So you get a 10% attack bonus to start with, up to a maximum of 30. Well, you're going to get shields with both of their heal skill damage. That 30 is going to come up pretty quickly. So if you're kind of in that infantry side, or even the PvP side, then you could do a lot of damage and still kind of survive a lot longer with constant shields coming between the two, but still pumping out quite a bit of damage. So it is a nice option to run Thea. If you do get her awakened, then grants a shield to 2 nearby friendly legions. So that's really nice. That can help with other marches in there, and give you that ability to help others that are on the front line. So that's what I would pair with Madeline front line. I would do Nika first and do a counterattack build. It's great. It does a lot of damage and can survive a long time. My second would be Garwood. And like I said, you could go either infantry, PvP, or tank. If you want to survive a really long time, definitely go tank. And, you know, and you can reverse that. You can use Garwood as your primary and Madeline as your secondary and let Garwood go into the tank. It's a little bit different of a build. And I can go through any talent tree. If you just throw a comment in and want to see any of these talent trees, I can break down each hero and do a full talent tree and show you what that looks like. But Madeline, Garwood, you can flip them. I like Madeline as primary, Garwood as secondary, or the deputy. And then my third choice would be Thea if possible. And then the free-to-play way would be definitely Elena. Now, if you're going to run Garwood as your main, I would do Thea or Elena. Obviously, I already talked about Madeline. That would be the first choice. But if you can't do that, Garwood with Thea will last a really long time. So Garwood has a main skill that heals and gives you resistance. So 1200 healing factor and 20% damage taken. That is huge. And the rest of his skills, so you get an HP bonus, you're going to get a defense bonus, and a healing receive bonus. So that's really, really nice. And then the last one, you have a 75% chance to increase physical damage dealt by 10% for 5 seconds when healed. So you can actually output a lot of damage, 30%. Now, Garwood's not going to do a ton, but every time you get healed, which is going to be pretty often. And then his Awakened heals lightly wounded units by 1,400, and your damage taken is reduced for 6 seconds. So that's really nice. You're going to get more healing, and your damage taken is going to be reduced for longer. So pairing him with Thea is a game changer if you want to last a long time. I would definitely use that pairing if you're going to be tanking behemoths, if you're going to be in the open field. Whenever you need to soak up the most amount of damage, that's where I would use that. And then with Elena is just as nice. If you're going to use Elena as your primary, your secondary choices really is going to be Thea, if you have her. If you have Garwood, Madeline, Nika, use that as your primary. You could potentially do Elena and Nika as your deputy, and that would work, but it's not going to do as well. If you're doing Elena, she's really good behind Garwood, and really good behind Madeline. I think it goes better with Garwood than with Madeline, but, kind of a choice. If you're going to run two, and let's say you have all of the commanders at your disposal, I would personally run Madeline with Nika as a more damage and sort of survivability, and then I would use Garwood with Thea or Garwood with Elena as your second. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to take as much damage. I'm going to try to tank as much as I can, absorb as much as I can, heal as much as I can, to allow others to do damage and push that front back. That would be the two that I would choose. As far as artifacts are concerned, there's a couple artifacts that we could use. So if we go into the artifacts, the main one is definitely the one that is in the forge currently. And I would use it all day long, and that's the Dragon Scale Armor. I currently don't have the Dragon Scale Armor, but this one is the best Madeline tank artifact out of them all. You're going to get infantry unit HP from dust. From leveling up the skills, you're going to get Legion HP. So that's going to be really nice. Its rage cost is 400 and grants a shield to your Legion and keen to up to 3 friendly legions. And if we max this out, the shield is 4,500 shield factor. That is huge, and it lasts for 10 seconds. That is a lot of shield. That is going to keep you alive for a really long time. And then the keen is 10% damage for 10 seconds. That's really nice. I know it's not a ton of damage factor, but even 10% is a really, really nice amount of damage. And then the passive is really nice too, because you're going to gain ranged resistance when you gain a shield through a rage skill. So with Madeline, she gains a shield through her own rage skill. If you pair with Thea, then Thea's rage skill will give a shield. And then this can give a shield. So then that would give you minus 18% range damage taken for 5 seconds. That's a lot of damage and a lot of survivability. So even if you're pairing with Nika and you're gaining these shields, you're going to keep getting resistance. So even if they're pounding on top of you with ranged units, you're going to be able to take away 18% of it, which is really, really nice. So I think this is the #1 tank artifact in my opinion. The other one that I would suggest, and we can take a look at, is going to be the one that I'm using currently, which is the Dragon Rift. I'm using this on my Madeline because it pairs well with the build, the more damage you build. So it does, for 400 rage cost, 3,000 physical damage, and it does, if it defeats the target, you're going to gain 24% physical attack for 6 seconds. If it doesn't, then they're going to gain bleed, which deals damage every second for 3 seconds at a 250 damage factor. So not only did you do 3,000, but now you put a bleed and you're doing an extra 7,500. So that's really, really nice. And it gives infantry unit attack damage and legion attack damage. And if you do max this out, you get up to a 3,500 damage factor on your bleed and a 4,000. That's over 5,000 damage factor over 3 seconds. So that's really, really nice. Other options that you could do, besides that, you could do the Fang. I currently have this on Garwood, just for the defense. It's nice. It does damage to a fixed location to up to 4 legions within a circle. That's really it. There's no nice passive. It's not my first choice. You could also potentially do the Springs of Silence, which will do enemy damage as well and give you that attack. And that one does reduce march speed. That's really nice if you're people are trying to escape and you're pushing. I think Dragon Rift is better than this one. And when you max it out, it's a 3,200 damage factor compared to 4,000. The 20% is nice, but I just really think the Dragon Rift is better. You know, if you're free to play, this one's okay. I wouldn't use it because peacekeeping damage, right? You really aren't going to be using your peacekeeping damage. That's cavalry. The Butcher's Blade is another option. It's another infantry attack, legion attack. It's probably what I would use. And if we max it out for 400 rage, you're going to deal damage twice, 3 units, and it's going to do 900 each time. So it's nice. It's definitely your more free-to-play option, but the other ones are definitely going to be a lot better. There are some that are for, you know, HP, but I personally think those are your best choices. You know, let me know down in the comments what your choices for artifacts would be, or if there's any other heroes that you would pair differently. And let me know if there's any talent trees that you want me to cover on any of the heroes we talked about in this video. But with that, I'm going to let you go. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.